Hey, hey, beautiful people. It is 1:34 on 2/9/14. I just got in from a bike ride and I'd done one video earlier on something that's been trying to come out, something that I've been experiencing, and the video kind of stopped in the middle of it. I was just replaying it. It's okay, but I figure I better try to make the video again. And so, anyway, um, it's a beautiful Sunday here in Florida. What what's been going on lately, and I'm seeing it in myself, and also seeing it as a reflection mirrored to me from the outside, so that I can learn from it. And I see so many people going through the same things that I'm going through right now. It's just our different levels of perception and light and frequency puts us at a different level of consciousness to understand what's going on there. And everything that we go through on the external is a mirror reflection of the internal. And some of us, if we are in our heads, we feel that life is happening to us and we are here on earth experiencing the life that's just unfolding. As you go through your mastery, you're understanding that you're creating the life on the exterior, and anything on the exterior is a result of that which is going on the interior. And people who are in their heads and going through their ascension process, but looking at other people and saying, I don't like what they did here, I don't like what they did there, or I'm not trusting this person or that person, or they upset me. And what they're not doing is they're not turning inwards and realizing that the issue that they have with life on the exterior is a reflection of something that's going on the interior of themselves. Me, in the level that I'm playing with, and of course I'm going through this too, but there's various levels of this as you go in, out of the head, out of the duality and plurality, into the wholeness, bringing heaven to earth in your heart. And the more you are in your heart, the less you're in your head, and the less the monkey brain is playing in the head. But still, the reflections that you experience on the exterior with other individuals coming into your life is a reflection of what's going on the interior. And for me, it's I'm down, not thinking about who did what to me anymore. I'm way, way, way past that. But what I'm dealing with now is even those little feelings of something happens on the exterior, and then I feel a lower vibrational segment of emotion, because segment means I'm not going to energize that emotion to create the whole tridial field around that emotion, that whatever it is that would be a distressing issue out there. And I'm not going to electrically energize the copper coil that's going around that emotion, which generates the electromagnetic field, which becomes the experience or the karma replay. I've got it down to where now I am looking at what's going on within me, and I can feel a vibration getting triggered, and there's a segment that's in there, just like one loop of the copper coil in there. And so I stop the thought in that which could put me back in that old frame of being before I get into that frame of being, that energizing the electromagnetic field, which becomes the experience that's generated from inside. It's a part of mastery. And so now I'm looking at the individual sensations, fragments, parts of a whole emotion, and identifying that before I get into generating the experience. But still, even with that, I'm watching other persons as my reflection in their life coming to me while they're knowingly going through their own ascension mastery, own game, own experience And they're saying, this person did it to me from the outside, or that person did it to me from the outside. Or today I was talking to my mother, happy birthday, Mom, and we were talking about Fukushima, or even here, the Crystal River nuclear power plant, the disassembly of the nuclear power plant, and she was very concerned about the nuclear fuel rods and what do we do with these things? How do we change the world? How do we create the technologies to change these things that are so dangerous in the world? And really and truly, they are more dangerous to somebody that's in a third or fourth dimensional level of perception and vibration than it is to somebody who's in a fifth or sixth dimensional perception and level of vibration. And I was really, really, really trying to explain what's going on with that, and that we will clean these things up in the future, but how we will clean these things up in the future is by our thoughts and emotions, by our focused intent, by our changing the story. Changing the story. The story keeps on repeating. The story keeps on coming up. We'll always have a story because the story is the dream. The story is that which we desire to create in our reality. There's always going to be some sort of story. Now, reducing the size of the story to just be in the flow sometimes is something that a master will do just to be and not create a whole lot of drama and karmic issues to go live out and experience. So there's always going to be a little bit of a story, but because with any existence, how does that existence happen without the story? And since it doesn't just happen, then we create it. We create it with the story. We create it with our consciousness, our level of perception, which is the story. And so anyway, as you go through your mastery, you have to really, really look at all your thoughts, your emotions, your perceptions, your boxing, your rules, your regulations, that which defines your story, that which defines your limitations, or that which has no definition and becomes your expansion. And it's just different levels of looking at the things. But what's been coming through here lately is so many people are getting hung up on what's going on the exterior. And I know I'm mastering my life and I can be in the bliss and stuff like that. But the world keeps on throwing this at me and I have to play. Well, if you have to play and you have to engage, then you're trying to engage and thinking you're going to change something on the outside, which is keeping on repeating, rather than changing it on the inside. Either you're liking that repeat, or you're not looking at what's creating that karmic issue to cause that repeat, and stop it. You have to look at the lesson and to realize that's either what you want, which is why you're replaying it, or if you don't want it, change the story. Change the lesson. Look at that lesson. Look at whatever that other point is out there, which you've wound with the emotion, which if you trigger your thought, that engages that emotion. It just like an alternator in your vehicle. It is putting the electrical flow, which generates the electromagnetic field around that emotion and creates the experience. If you don't want it, you've got to pull it back in. If you don't like what's happening to you on the exterior, then you have to look at why it's happening to you on the exterior and realize that you're creating that hologram on the exterior of your body. It is a hologram. There is nothing but ourselves. To me, there is nothing but me. Everything on the outside, including you, including the persons, including the birds and flowers and trees, all the energy that's been slowed into form here is only energy slowed into form to create the hologram I have an experience of. And anything that I experience on the exterior is nothing more than a reflection of what I hold on the interior of me. And when we start having these problems and having things replay over and over, it's because there's something going on within us that allows that hologram to manifest in that manner. It works no other way. It's not happening to us. Now, persons in third and fourth dimensional understanding will say, oh, you're crazy. persons who really understand fifth dimensional and sixth dimensional understanding going, yeah, you're right. Persons who are in sixth dimensional, they're not looking at their thoughts anymore. They have already moved into their heart, but they're looking for those little segments of the emotions, that little initial trigger that could generate an electromagnetic field, a single winding around an experience. And before a thought can energize that winding and put an electrical thought through the current, the magnetic winding, generating the electromagnetics of winding. Before we energize that, we see it, we catch it, we go, no, we don't want that. But we still, even though we're dealing with it on that segmental level, we're still seeing it in other persons that are attracted in our field. The same thing. It's the same thing. And so it doesn't matter which dimensional level of perception that you're in. While we're here on Earth, the same things that we have to look at within self are going to be given to you as a reflection on the outside of what we need to individually work on. That's as long as we're not just right in the middle of an entangled mess with a whole bunch of persons that are not of our personal vibration. If we do that, if we're going to throw ourselves in the lion's den, then there's no telling what we're going to get. And it can be very magical. But it's just like me, if I was to go, say, into a big city and be right in the middle of the traffic and everything, yeah, I can still hold my vibration, but what I would see there is not necessarily just what's a generation of my personal field. My interaction with people, if I'm holding a love vibration, will be very lovely, but that doesn't mean that, just like I did in a couple of videos ago, and I was talking about being in the cities and then watching so many accidents that seem to be happening around me as I trigger other person's field, or they come in, their field comes into contact with mine, and it sets off a chain reaction within their field. Those things still happen. So it just doesn't happen to me. So anyway, yeah, while I was on the bike ride, this kept coming back, how I'm experiencing the same thing over and over, and how what I'm experiencing is the same thing that I'm dealing with, but I'm watching it in another person's field, and in their field and their experience, it's much more dramatic. And how I had to tell a few people here that I appreciate your experience, but if I get too involved in the dramatics of the victimization that's going on within their field, then that tends to affect mine, and that sets me off on a chain reaction because their frequency is not really playing the same with my frequency. It's just levels of perceptions where you're playing more on the exterior, more on the interior. That's all it is. And the more we ascend in frequency and the more we expand our light field, we do that because we're going more and more interior. There's only one way to do that, and that's going into that center point and into the center point. And as we go into the center point of the center point, like the sniper seeing the bullseye, but he's choosing the center point of that bullseye, as we go into the bullseye and into the bullseye of that bullseye and into the bullseye of that bullseye, we're creating an ever ongoing expansion of our field. And the more we do that, the higher the frequency. And the more we do that, higher light quotient, higher frequency, the more things readily manifest. And so what I was having to deal with is telling some persons that were coming in my field who I love very much about their experience, which is a reflection of my experience, but about getting involved in their experience, putting my field into their field and getting involved with their experience and feeling the emotions that they're having because they're saying, oh, this is happening to me from the exterior rather than looking on the inside and solving the problem. I have to remove myself from the situation because my frequencies, their frequencies could be affecting my field and causing undesired results in my own personal field because I haven't truly mastered the ability to be absolutely neutral in my emotions while I'm around other persons who are in a very dramatic nature in their magnetics, their electromagnetical field. I haven't completely learned how to hold my field pure while intermingled with other person's fields. It's just part of the game. We're all mastering it. But I saw this and was thinking, I'm going to have to say something about it. And we're all going through our clearing right now. But everything that we experience within our field is a reflection of that which is on the interior. So what is coming into our field is what's going on the inside always. It's a mirror for us to look at ourselves. And if we want to stop this game, we have to get to that center point, to the center point, to the center point. When you're in 3 and 4D and you're in your head, it's the monkey mind that's causing your negativity. When you're in your head and you're saying, I'm a victim, it's poor, pitiful me, and all this crap's happening to me, it's because you're in your head, and this head is the computer that's generating the hologram. When you get in your heart, you don't generate that crappy hologram because you're in your heart and you're feeling your love. And the more you stay within your heart and in that dream and in that vibration, love vibration, what does come up to your head is the beautiful feelings that you're feeling within your heart. And that goes in your head and it creates a very magical hologram from the outside. But right now, with these new magnetics coming in from the galactic center and the CMEs, as it's being stepped down from the sun, and the CMEs are blasting us from the sun, and all these gamma ray bursts and everything else that's going on, and getting deeper and deeper into the photon belt. All of this is really putting the spiritual fires under our butts, and really showing us how quantum physics works if we really look at it. And everybody's going to have to look at it. We have no choice. We are creating our realities by ourselves. Nobody is doing this to us. How deep do you want to go? That is, you go inside to get to the outside. To expand your field to the highest light is only done by how deep you can go, how much clearing, how much changes of perceptions you can go into the sacred space of your heart, or whatever creates the bliss within yourself. Wherever that vortex is within yourself, there's a triangle right there. It might be high heart, it might be in the sacred spot of the heart, it could be on the other side. I don't know where yours is, but mine's in the sacred. My vortex is generated from my physical heart, within the sacred space of that heart, within the God particles of that heart. That's where I generate my field from. And I've heard so many people say theirs is coming from a different place, and I can't deny that. So it's cool. It's wherever you're generating your bliss from is where you're going to go in, and you're going to have to clean up those old thoughts, patternings, emotions, anything that's creating a lower vibrational segment of magnetics, which changes your field, lowers your vibration, keeps you stuck, energy blocked, whatever it is. It's just going deeper and deeper and deeper, more into that 0 point, more into that center point. And every time we do, we find more stuff that we've got to look at and say, oh, how'd that get there? Or how do I resolve it? And then clear it out. Our frequency and light quotient expands more, and then we go to the next level. And so that's pretty cool what we're doing. This has been a repeat for me for some time, and it actually really began. It began when ISON came through in Thanksgiving, but it really, and it was hitting me hard physically. I started having physical sensations again at that time. And then right around Christmas, like I said, I had a little trip back to the brain. And with projects that I'm doing now, which do take mental activity, although it takes intellectual mental activity, knowing the technologies for what I wish to create. Yes, the field says, look here, look there, here's all the different parts and pieces, but by going back up in the brain again, of course, that's where the ego is, and the duality and plurality is. And I've had physical sensations, experiences by doing that again. It's really interesting how that's happening. And it's not a bad thing. It's just that's to develop new technology or to put my hands on something in the 4D world to create, literally put my hands on, not just bring in potentialities, understandings, concepts. That's coming from a higher level that you haven't got to put your hands on. But at some point, if you're wanting to create a machine, you got to put your hands on, which means you've got to go back up into the head a little bit. And this is the first time I've had to do this for some time, and it's interesting to see the experience and to see how by that simple shift of being still in my heart but in my head at the same time, like this, how there's physical sensations that occurs that I haven't experienced in some time. There's pains, there's issues, there's stuff. That's interesting too. And what a game we're playing. What mastery we're really having to develop as we go through this process. But anyway, that's what I was saying earlier about how we're looking at it. There is nothing on the exterior that's happening to you which is happening other than something that's generating it from the interior. And that's really the message. That's my message for the day for me that I'm sharing with you. Anyway, love y'all. Bye for now. Malene LaFont has got a global meditation in literally 1 hour and 3 minutes from now. I hope you join us. This is the fourth and final meditation on Glastonbury. And they've got this storm that has got 150 mile per hour winds over there and really tearing up the western coast of England right now. It's a good time to be throwing some meditation that way. I hope you guys join us. Anyway, love y'all. Bye for now.